listening to Keith Sports News. Hey, folks. Yes, welcome to a special Tuesday edition of KSN. That's right. The reason why I decided to do this episode on a Tuesday is because I had a busy weekend. Not just for sports, but for myself as well. And I figured since it is the first NFL weekend of the regular season, why not wait until after the Monday night game so I can recap everything. And that's why I'm wearing this shirt. It's been a while since I wore this shirt because I only wear this shirt during the regular season. Or the season. And this is actually the old NFL logo. You're probably thinking, what? It looks the same as today's. It does, but here's the big difference. The number of stars on this, I guess this is called a shield logo. The current NFL shield logo only has 8 stars. Why only 8 stars? Because those 8 stars represent the number of divisions in the league. Yes. Do I have my water bottle? I don't. I have to go get it. Let me pause this real quick. Alright, good thing I noticed I got my water bottle. Gotta stay hydrated. Still summer, you know? So, yes, I'm in this room. I'm in the kitchen. It's been quite some time since I last done an episode in here, so I figured why not do it in here? Because the other room that I was in lately, that's the party room, okay? Yes, I did a little 15-second short of what it was like in that room. And, yeah, we had a party on Saturday evening, okay? And, you're probably going to see an actual video of that on the main channel, Eric Super Magnificent. So I was busy that day, or that evening, and then Sunday, I was also busy because my brothers came over. Alright, and they spend the night here. Another reason why I didn't want to do this episode on Monday is because they spend the night here, and I didn't want them to hear me, talking super late at night. It's after 2:30 a.m., believe it or not. If you don't believe me, yeah, you guys know, if you've been following the episodes a lot, I would usually record these episodes before I go to bed, just so I can get it over with, Another reason why I didn't do it on Monday, is because I also didn't have time, alright? I had other things to do, so, yeah. So sometimes it might be on a Tuesday, but the second, you guys know I do 2 episodes per week. The second episode is usually on Friday, okay? It's usually on Friday. And it will be on Friday. Alright. So yeah, I had a busy weekend, and I know it was another huge weekend in sports, mainly for football, American football, and Canadian football. A lot of football talk in this episode. That's right. Now, it's crazy. the last 3 episodes were 2 hours. 2 hours. And it's funny because the last episode I said this won't be 2 hours, and it turned out to be 2 hours. I don't want this episode to be 2 hours because I'm also tired. I didn't get much sleep. That's one of the problems that I have in life. Sometimes I don't get enough sleep. But I'm well enough to do this episode. And you know what? Yeah, it's not going to be 2 hours. I guarantee it. It won't be 2 hours. I guarantee it. Like Joe Namath winning Super Bowl III. Biggest upset in Super Bowl history. For the Jets. Jets. Yeah. So, yeah. There is a lot to talk about. But I gotta be honest, I didn't watch a lot of sports this past weekend, even though it was a huge weekend, because I had a party on Saturday evening and my brothers came over on Sunday. But I did watch some. So I'll tell you what I watched, but there is still quite a lot to talk about. So you can call this episode like a scoreboard episode. All right? So, before I talk about football, let's talk about to me, the most important thing that happened over this past weekend, and that is the U.S. Open Championships. All right? The women's singles final was on Saturday after 3 p.m. Central. I think I heard that it used to be at prime time years ago. To me, it should be. It should be. If the semifinals, if both women's semifinal matches were prime time, why can't the final be prime time? Because it's during college football season. And that's why, oh gosh, excuse me. And that's why, in my opinion, the United States Open tournament should have ended a week or two ago. It should have ended a week or two ago. I don't know why. They do it. It's always like this. They always do this crap. I wonder how many people... What were the ratings? Because I really don't know. You know, I'm sure they were pretty good because an American female was in the final in New York. Okay? So, this match... I was going to try to watch it, but I couldn't. I didn't watch the match live. I didn't watch the late night replay. So I had to do it I guess the cheaper way, and that is by watching the highlights on YouTube. And thankfully, I watched it on ESPN's YouTube channel. Thankfully, they didn't put the winning player in the thumbnail. For those of you that watch tennis highlight videos, a lot of times they put the winner in the thumbnail. Why do they do that? Why do they always do that crap? Not just ESPN. The US Open tennis tournament does that crap. The Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, they all do that crap. Why? It just gives it away. Even in the description, they give away the result. Okay, try not to look in the description, but once you see that thumbnail and it shows the winning player in it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's so stupid. For once, ESPN did it the right way by showing. Oh my gosh, my nose. Sorry. For once, ESPN did it the right way by having both players in the thumbnail. That's how it should always be, anyways. Have both players in the thumbnail of your highlight videos. Now, I think the WTA and the ATP's YouTube channel, I don't think they always show the winning player in the thumbnail. I think they normally have both players in the thumbnail. I don't know what they were. I don't know why the 4 Grand Slams, they don't do that. So, thank you, ESPN, for not spoiling the winner. Okay. So yeah, I couldn't watch it because I had things to do. Because we had a party. The party started at 5 o'clock. Alright, so my guess is maybe the match would be over by 5 o'clock or so. I did it. Okay, so the match was American Amanda Anisimova against number 1 seeded player Aryna Sabalenka. A rematch from the Wimbledon semifinal. Okay. I wasn't sure if this was going to be straight sets or 3 sets. I couldn't see this being a very quick, one-sided match. Okay. I got to give credit to Amanda for going back to a Grand Slam final. The one after she lost her last Grand Slam final, 6-love, 6-love. They call that a double bagel. The first player ever to lose in a Grand Slam final, 6-love, 6-love, and then go to the next Grand Slam final after. That's never happened before. So I got to give her credit. Because that Wimbledon final wasn't that long ago. Even though it's almost 2 months already. But it still didn't seem like it was that long ago. I got to give her credit for, bouncing back after that. Okay? And I remember watching her for the first time. 2019. Or even 2018. But 2019 for sure. I remember she went to the French Open semifinals in 2019. She was only 17 years old. Can you believe that? Dang, man. It's crazy. And this was back when she had her blonde hair. I miss her blonde hair. That's just me. So, yeah. The semifinals were great matches, both of them. I was hoping for an All-American final. I'm sure a lot of people were hoping for that. I was rooting against Sabalenka in the final and the semifinals. I root against her like every time. I guess it's because not only because she's the number 1 player, but it's because she screams. She's like the loudest player. She's like Maria Sharapova 2.0. I think she's louder than Maria Sharapova. I think you heard me say this in the last episode. Imagine this match between Sabalenka and Sharapova, 2 of the loudest players ever, I think. OMG. So, yeah. So, it turns out that Chris Fowler didn't call the women's final. And I was hoping he would be there. The reason why he wasn't there was because he had to call the big college football game, the only big college football game in week 2, in my opinion, between Michigan and Oklahoma. It's weird because he was at last year's women's final. but the year before, he wasn't. 2023 women's final at the U.S. Open, Chris Fowler was absent because he had to call a college football game between Texas and Alabama. So the announcer for the 2023 women's final was Cliff Drysdale. So why couldn't Cliff Drysdale retire after the women's final? The announcer for the women's final was Patrick McEnroe. Now, I've always liked Patrick McEnroe. I listen to his podcast called Holding Court once a week on Sirius XM. I do. Great podcast, okay? Because not many people talk about tennis in general. So the only other guy I know that talks about it sometimes is my number one favorite sports talk podcast, Mad Dog Unleashed with Christopher Mad Dog Russo, which I have yet to hear his thoughts on this final. I haven't listened to his Monday episode yet, so I'll listen to that later today. So Patrick McEnroe was the play-by-play announcer for the women's final. Again, I've always liked Patrick McEnroe, but since this is the last year for Cliff Drysdale on ESPN, why couldn't they had Cliff Drysdale retire at the women's final? Is it because at the time they didn't know that Chris Fowler was going to go to Norman, Oklahoma to call that college football game? I think Cliff Drysdale, he mainly calls women's matches. I don't remember him calling a men's match. Maybe he used to. But a lot of times he would call a women's match. So in my opinion, since Chris Fowler couldn't be at the women's final, then they should have had Cliff Drysdale to call the women's final and then end his career. Come on, that would make sense. The guy's been with the network since its first year, 1979. 1979. Yeah, the Smashing Pumpkins song. So, I don't know. I wonder if people are going to call in to Patrick McEnroe's show this upcoming Saturday morning. Who knows? If I somehow wake up super early and call in that show, I guess I'll ask him that. The problem with that show is it comes on so damn early. 6 a.m. 6 a.m. my time. And it's only a 1-hour show once a week. I don't know why it's so early, though. Well, I guess I don't know. But I'm not a morning person, so that's just me. I have yet to call in a show. And by the way, I'm starting to get back into listening to a bunch of these podcasts now that a pro-American football season has begun. So a lot of them talk about it. Okay, so sorry if I'm all over the place. So, again, I didn't watch the match live, and I couldn't watch the replay. I didn't have the time for that because of the party that me and my parents had. So I watched the highlight video on YouTube, and thankfully the highlight video wasn't short. And thankfully ESPN didn't show the winning player in the thumbnail. They showed both players. So obviously I wanted Amanda to win, and pretty much the New York crowd does as well. And she put up a fight. Amanda put up a fight. Okay. I kind of knew who would win this match. I did pick Sabalenka to win because she is the number one player. Although I thought she would win the Australian Open final and the French Open final, but she lost both of those finals. So I looked at it as like, well, I don't think she's going to lose a third final in 2025. But Amanda, imagine if she somehow wins this U.S. Open after losing Wimbledon 6-love, 6-love. So Sabalenka won 6-3. The second set, Sabalenka was ahead, and it looked like she was going to close out the match, right? But Amanda fought back. She fought back. She won a couple of games. Okay. And she forced it into a tiebreaker. Tiebreaker, you got to win 7 points. And it was pretty much all Sabalenka. And everyone was hoping, if you were rooting for Amanda, everyone was hoping to go to a 3-set. And that didn't happen. Sabalenka, she won this match 6-3, 7-6, tiebreaker 7-3. So congratulations to Sabby. Yeah, that's going to be her nickname, Sabby. So Sabby has won the U.S. Open again. Yeah, she won it last year, I believe. Let me check to make sure. Yeah, she did. She beat Jessica Pegula last year. She's a great player. Great player. I remember when Sabby and Anisimova, they had a match at the Australian Open back in 2019. And Sabby lost. Yeah, she lost that match in the third or fourth round, I think. I think it was the third round. But, that was 6 years. That was 6 years ago. A lot can change in 6 years. So, yeah, she won the U.S. Open back-to-back. Her fourth Grand Slam and her sixth Grand Slam final appearance. Yeah, she's tough. And I watched the trophy presentation ceremony. I was reading comments. People were saying about the interviewer, Mary Carrillo, that she kind of ruined it because of the way she talked to the players. It was kind of awkward. I get it. But I never criticized Mary Carrillo. I've always liked Mary Carrillo. She's got a weird voice, I know. I don't hear her lately. Lately, I haven't heard her voice. Last time I really heard her voice was at last year's Summer Olympics. Yeah, so she used to be on ESPN in the old days, but I've always liked her. And I don't know if she's still on Tennis Channel, but I think the voice of Tennis Channel is Brett Haber. I think that's his name. But yeah, I have, I didn't have to watch it. Even if I were to watch this match live, I have the option to watch it from the ESPN broadcast, which I usually do, or the other version, Sky Sports. And Mary Carrillo was the other play-by-play announcer for that version. So it's weird because usually during the trophy presentation at the U.S. Open, excuse me, sorry. Usually an ESPN commentator would do the interviewing, but that didn't happen this year. Same with the men's singles championship. trophy presentation. Yeah. I'm sure we all would love to see Amanda win a Grand Slam. Who knows? I really hope so. Oh, she's number 8 in the world. I'm sure her rankings will go back up. Will increase. I'll check the rankings and see if they updated it. I think they did. All right. Now we're going to talk about the men's final. First off, the semifinals. The first one was Carlos Alcaraz against Novak Djokovic. That was during the afternoon, which, in my opinion, that's really dumb. It should be at prime time because that's the bigger semifinal matchup than the other one. The other one was Jannik Sinner against Felix Auger-Aliassime. And, I missed the first semifinal match between Carlos and Novak because I had work. So I was hoping, I think the match started like after 2 p.m. So all I can hope is if I come home at almost 5 o'clock, I would have to hope that the match is still going, which means it would have been a pretty long one if it was over a 3-hour match. But no, this match wasn't even close. Carlitos, he won that semifinal match in straight sets. And it was 6-4, 7-6, 7-4, 2-6. Like, what if this match was at night? Or what if this match had the roof closed? I think Novak would have played better, but I think Carlos still would have won anyways. I did pick Carlos to win, by the way, in that semifinal matchup. And I also picked Jannik Sinner to win that semifinal matchup. So I watched a little bit of his semifinal matchup. That semifinal matchup between Sinner and Auger-Aliassime, that happened during the Friday night NFL game. So I kind of watched a little bit of both. And yeah, I had them on at the same time, but I was also doing things, setting up for the party the following night. And I had a feeling that Sinner would win. I thought he would win in straight sets, but he didn't. He won in 4 sets, 6-1, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. So Felix, he did beat Sinner in he beat Sinner in a set. I got to give Felix credit for going back to the U.S. Open semifinals 4 years. It's been 4 years since he last appeared in that Grand Slam final. Yeah. He did great. He played great. Number 25 seed. So then we get the Sunday. Okay. So this match was on ABC. I think it was at 2 o'clock. No. It was actually at 1 o'clock. Yeah, I thought the match would start after 2 p.m. Okay, so I tuned in after 2 p.m. and the match was already going on for 30 minutes. But the match started after 1:30 p.m., so I missed about 30 minutes. And I think the match was supposed to start after 1 p.m., but for whatever reason, it got delayed, and I think it was because the United States president was there. Yeah, he was actually there. Okay. This match, I did watch some of it, or quite a bit of it live, even though it was during the first NFL Sunday of the regular season, which is really stupid. NFL always wins, pretty much, Yeah, it sucks. That sucks. Sucks for the U.S. Open to have your 2 best players in the world have another Grand Slam final rematch during the first NFL Sunday. This is why U.S. Open should have been a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Because if that was the case, I bet you more people would be watching. More people would watch that match. That match would have more ratings. Nope. So, hey, but to me, if you're a tennis fan, this was the most important event of this past weekend. It really was. I wasn't really sure who was going to win this match. I thought the match would go in 5 sets, but it went to 4. Okay. So these two, they met in the French Open final, where Carlos won in a crazy 5-hour match, nearly 5.5 hours, I think. And then Wimbledon, not too far after, Jannik Sinner won Wimbledon in 4 sets. And then they met again. I don't think this has ever happened where we had back-to-back-to-back Grand Slam final rematches in the same season, the same year. I don't think that's ever happened before. People are saying this is the new rivalry, and it is. This is kind of like 20 years ago where Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, their rivalry started and they met in a bunch of finals. And then a few years later, Novak Djokovic, he became really good, and that's how the Big Three era began. I wonder if there's going to be a third player out there in a couple of years. Who knows who that third player is? I'm hoping it would be I hope it's an American, whether it's Ben Shelton or Taylor Fritz, Francis Tiafoe. Yeah. So, this match, Chris Fowler came back. After calling the Michigan-Oklahoma game, he flew back to New York City to call the men's final. Chris Fowler. To me, he is the voice of ESPN, the MVP. Flying from New York to Norman, Oklahoma, and then flying back to New York the next day to call this final. And it's weird that this match wasn't prime time, even though that night was a big Sunday night football game. And there was no Sunday night baseball. Isn't that strange? No Sunday night baseball. So they really could have had this match prime time. But again, it's during the first NFL Sunday night game. I don't know why the U.S. Open just doesn't think about that stuff. It's like they don't even care. And I know, tennis is actually a worldwide sport, but it seems like a lot of people in America don't talk about it much. Kind of like soccer, although I hardly hear anyone talk about soccer in the USA. But I'm not a soccer fan anyways. I wasn't really cheering for either player. Jannik Sinner's number 1, Carlos Alcaraz is number 2. All these sets were kind of one-sided, except for the 4th set. Carlos Alcaraz, he won the first set 6-2. Jannik Sinner won the second set 6-3. Carlos Alcaraz won the third set 6-4 or 6-1, and he won the 4th set 6-4. So Carlitos, vamos amigos, Carlitos has won the U.S. Open. And you know what? After he had that buzz cut look, and him wearing the sleeveless shirt, the pink or purple sleeveless shirt, it's like I kind of had a feeling he was gonna win this U.S. Open, and he did. Yeah, so congratulations to Carlitos. I remember when he won the U.S. Open in 2022, his first Grand Slam title. And he came out of nowhere. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? Yeah, he was like only 19. Now he's 22. He's younger than me. It's crazy. I'm watching athletes that are now younger than me, or quite a bit of athletes that are younger than me. Jannik Sinner is also younger than me. I'm watching NFL starting quarterbacks that are younger than me. Ay, ay, ay. It's crazy. So congratulations to Carlos Alcaraz on winning the United States Open. And I heard that he's now going to be the number one player. He's now going to be the number one player. I wonder what was the ratings like during that match? I'm curious to know what were the ratings for the men's final during the first NFL Sunday. See, only tennis fans would watch this live. Big tennis fans would watch this live. Now I'm sure there are tennis fans that are also NFL fans. But I don't know why they do this every year, having the final Sunday afternoon during a bunch of NFL games of the first week of the regular season. Oh well. Okay then. Alright, well. Now, how about we check the rankings for, no, not college football. I'll check the rankings for that later. The tennis rankings and see if they updated that. Let's do women's tennis first. Ladies first. I'll start out, college football I usually count down from number 25 to 1. Tennis, I'll do the opposite, from number 1 to 25. Let me see, did they updated it? No, they actually didn't update it. It says last updated September 3, 2025. So that's almost a week ago. Obviously, Sabby's still going to be number 1. I think Amanda, her ranking will go up. She might be in the top 5. Pagula will stay in the top 5. Coco Gauff, her ranking might go down a bit. What about the men's rankings? I don't think that's updated as well. Well, all I know is that Carlos will be number 1. Oh, and he did. He did went up. Okay, so they did updated the ATP rankings. Carlitos is now number 1. Jannik Sinner went down to number 2, so they basically just swapped rankings. Clearly the two best players all year. You know what's crazy? The third best player is Novak. Because Novak, he went to all 4 Grand Slam semifinals in the same season at the age of 38. That's impressive. I think he made history, the oldest man to go to multiple Grand Slam finals. The problem is that every time he went to the semifinals, he has to face one of those two players. That's the problem for him. I think, listen, he's still a great player. It's not like he's losing, in the first or second round. If that was the case, then yeah, he would know that his time is up. He might compete again next year. I did predict that next year might be his last season. 2026 could be his last. Maybe not. Maybe he'll retire at the 2028 Summer Olympics. I don't know, in 3 years. But he's still great. Number 3 is Alexander Zverev. Number 4 is Novak. He went up 3 spots. Taylor Fritz dropped down 1 spot to number 5. Ben Shelton 6. Jack Draper dropped 2 spots down to 7. Alex Diminor is 8. Lorenzo Musetti went up 1 to number 9. Karen Khachanov went down 1 spot to 10. Holger Rune 11. Casper Ruud 12. Felix Auger-Aliassime went up 14 spots to 13. Number 13. 14, Andrei Rublev went up 1 spot. 15, Tommy Paul went down 1 spot. 16, Lehechka. I forgot how to pronounce his name from the Czech. He went up 5 spots. 17, Mensik went down 1 spot. Daniil Medvedev. What happened to that player? He went down 5 spots. He's now number 18. A couple years ago, he was in the top 5. What happened to him? Same with Stefanos Tsitsipas. Yeah. 19 is Bublik. Went up 5 spots. 20 is a Spanish player named David Ovich Fokina. I never heard of him. He went down 2 spots. Number 21, a player from Argentino, Cerundolo, went down 2 spots as well. 22 is Mahak. 23, French player, Fils, went down 3 spots. 24, another French player, Humbert, went down 1 spot. And number 25, Koboli, the Italian player, went up 1 spot. Denis Shapovalov is 26, the Canadian player. I like him because he's left-handed. Went up 3 spots. Stefanos Tsitsipas is number 27. He went 1 spot. Grigor Dimitrov is number 28. He went down 3 spots. Francis Tiafoe is number 29. He went down 12 spots. All right, now I'm going to just keep scrolling down to see if there's any big changes here in the rankings. Cameron Norrie is 34. Let's see. I follow women's tennis more than men's tennis. Oh, the French player. I think his first name is Adrian, but his last name is Menarino. He went up 22 spots, and he's 37. What about Gael Monfils? What ranking is he? Because he's just as old as Novak. Matteo Berrettini, the Italian player, went down 6 spots. He's number 58. Marin Cilic is 60. Riley Opelka went up 4 spots. He's now number 63. Let's see. Scrolling down, it goes down all the way to 150, I believe. Kei Nishikori, he's kind of getting up there. He's number 93. Where is Gael Monfils? I'm still scrolling down. If he is even ranked in the top 150. Unless if I skipped his name. I have to look him up real quick. Unless if he's retired. Nope, he's still playing. He lost in the first round in 5 sets. He's 39. He's 39. He's older than Novak. Current ranking. Oh, he's 48? I must have missed it. Wait, what? I don't see his name. Oh, he's 53. He went down 4 spots. Okay, I somehow missed his name. He's 53 in the world at the age of 39? That's pretty good. All right. So that's the tennis. Well, I've been talking about that Wow, 45 minutes, and now I gotta talk so much football. Alright, hoping this won't be 2 hours. I might lie again. I made a list of the things that I want to talk about, so yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is let's recap the National Football League Week 1, shall we? The Friday night game. Let's because I already talked about the Thursday night game in the last episode. So the Friday night game was a free game on YouTube for the first time ever. NFL broadcasted the game live on YouTube. This reminds me of when the MLB, they broadcasted some games on YouTube a couple of years ago. Yeah, that was cool. NFL did this for the first time. Brazil, I think they had a Brazil game last year, but that game was on Peacock. This game, instead, it's on YouTube. Not YouTube TV, regular YouTube. So I put that game on because I have YouTube on my TV. So I put that on. Rich Eisen, the play-by-play with Kurt Warner. Yeah, Rich Eisen's got a great voice. I listen to his podcast sometimes. I had this game on. I didn't watch much of it because, like I said, I was getting things ready for the party. But how about those Chargers? I almost said Chiefs. Yes, the Chargers. They won 27-21. This game was close. I remember. Oh gosh, somehow I knocked off my glasses. I remember what I saw. To me, my highlight of that game was when Kansas City was able to get a field goal just in the nick of time before halftime. Yeah, see, it's not like the CFL where you don't have to be in a rush. In the CFL, they let the game clock hit 0, and then you snap the ball, letting everyone know, okay, this is the last play of this quarter. NFL or in American football, you must snap the ball before that clock hits 0. So that's why they were in a rush. They had no timeout. So that was impressive. Big win for the Chargers. The Chiefs, they lost their first game. That is unusual. Very, very unusual. Yeah, the AFC West has 4 well-known coaches. Who knows? It might be a tough division. And I listened to the post-game show after. They had Cam Newton on. I remember Cam Newton played for the Carolina Panthers 10 years ago. He was in Super Bowl 50. That's almost 10 years ago, too. It's crazy. And you know what else is crazy? I did see that Mr. Beast crazy video after the game, the post game, where a Chiefs fan got shot out of a cannon. That was nuts. That was real too. I cannot imagine that. Because the losing team, because, his team lost, so that was the bet. That was the deal. He should have said, I'm going to fly like a Philadelphia Eagle because they lost to the Eagles in that Super Bowl. That would be funny if he said that. That's what I would have said. Because it popped into my head. All right, Sunday. The only game I really watched on Sunday was the Sunday night game. That was clearly the biggest game of Week 1. However, during the U.S. Open men's final, I had on NFL Red Zone and the other TV. Okay, so I was kind of watching both. Yeah, they said that. I thought NFL Red Zone's going to have commercials now. I guess they're not? I guess they must have listened to their fans because the fans were not happy after they heard that news. NFL Red Zone no longer commercial free, but when I was on that channel for a while, I never seen a commercial. I never seen a commercial. Unless if the commercials are so fast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's still kind of like the same NFL Red Zone that I remembered. I'm not going to recap every single game, okay? Because if that was the case, this video will be more than 2 hours. Okay, so this is surprising. The Indianapolis Colts crushed the Miami Dolphins 33-8. What's that quarterback's name? Daniel Jones, I think, for the Colts. Used to be with the Giants. They say once a Giant, always a Giant. It's kind of like Saquon Barkley. He used to be with the Giants. He left the Giants and he won a Super Bowl. What if this happens to Daniel Jones? That'd be nuts. I don't know what the heck happened to Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins. I remember when Tua played for Alabama. He was great. But man, I think he suffered several concussions. Yeah, wow, 33-8. The game was in Indianapolis. Now this game, they did this on purpose. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers against his former team, the New York Jets, Jets in MetLife Stadium. This game was close. I said to myself, Aaron Rodgers better not lose this game. This game was at MetLife Stadium, and this game was close. Steelers won 34-32. I saw some highlights of that game. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty damn good for his age. I think he's 40 or 41, the oldest active quarterback. Hey, if this is really his final season, I wish him well, because I've always liked him, even though recent years he was kind of a weird guy outside of football. Okay, but when he was with the Packers, man, he should have stayed as a Packer, in my opinion. So they won 34-32. It was close. The new Jets quarterback, I forgot his name. I think his last name is Love. And Love, he did pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only thing that I knew from this game was apparently there was a lightning delay. Jaguars won 26-10. Arizona Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. Saints are the closest team to me, and I heard that the Saints might be the worst team in the league, and they lost 20-13. They were wearing like this other gold uniforms. It's kind of unusual with black helmets. I kind of like the black helmets, but the rest of it just looks weird. Arizona wore all white. I'm not a fan of that when a team wears all white. Oh, I think Arizona's helmets have always been all white. But they wore white pants. Should have wore red pants. That would have looked better. Indianapolis Colts, they always wear white pants, so they would have to wear all white when they're on the road because their helmets are also all white. New York Giants at the Washington Commanders. Commanders won 21-6. What the heck happened to the Giants? Once a Giant, always a Giant. Oh, Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback for the Giants after he played for the Steelers last year. Isn't that crazy? Okay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. I watched the end of that game. They were showing that on Red Zone. Buccaneers, they got the game-winning field goal. No. Excuse me. The Falcons, they were going for the game-winning field goal and they missed it. The Buccaneers won 23-17. to 20. The Battle of Ohio, Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals won 17 to 16. Joe Burrow played for the LSU Tigers, also known as the Bayou Bengals. He went from a Bayou Bengal to a Cincinnati Bengal. They won by 1 point. The starting quarterback for the Browns is Joe Flacco. I've always liked Flacco. I remember him from the Baltimore Ravens when they won that Super Bowl in New Orleans. The first Super Bowl I ever watched was Super Bowl 47. So what happened to Deshaun Watson? What's up with that guy? I don't know. Cleveland, another team that's kind of cursed. The Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots. Coach Pete Carroll with the Raiders against Mike Norvell. Is that his name? No, no wait, Mike Norvell. That's the Florida State head coach. I got mixed up. What's the guy's name for the Patriots? I think his name is also Mike, right? Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel. Okay, I got mixed up. There's a bunch of Mikes, okay? Mic test working. So, yeah, should have had Mike Vrabel in last year's season anyways. The Raiders won 20-13, and I saw a comment that the Raiders, first time they won a game in Foxborough since the late 90s. Wow. Because that was like right before the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era began. Okay. 5-Tayer, if you're listening to this, your favorite team, San Francisco 49ers, they took on the Seattle Seahawks. That's a rivalry. 49ers won 17-13. That division will be interesting. Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix, Sean Payton. Broncos won 20-12. Another rivalry in the NFC North. Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers. What's the name of the Packers quarterback? Oh, Jordan Love. Okay, I thought he was the Jets quarterback. So who is the Jets quarterback? Justin Fields. Okay, Justin Fields. He plays for the Jets. And Jordan Love plays for the Green Bay Packers. Okay. With Micah Parsons. Yep. They look really good. 27-13. A big win for those Packers. Houston Texans at the LA Rams. This was a low-scoring game. Matthew Stafford was playing, and we all thought he got hurt, but I guess he was well enough to play. The Rams won 14-9. Okay, so before I get to the Sunday night football game and the Monday night football game, so Fox, they hosted the last Super Bowl, right? And whenever a network hosts the Super Bowl, they always introduce a new score bug. And that score bug sucked. That Super Bowl 59 score bug sucked. It had the team abbreviations. They got rid of the team logos. So I said to myself, I think it would look better if they just have the team logos instead of the abbreviation. And that's what they did. They did. However, the score bug itself still looks weird because it's not in a rectangular box like the other score bugs. It just looks weird. But it looks better, but it still looks weird. I don't understand. I mean, I get it. They host the Super Bowl. That's what they do. They introduce a new score bug. But their last score bug was only used for 2 years. What the heck? We all much prefer that score bug. The sunglasses shaped score bug. That's much better than the current one. However, for whatever reason, CBS, they introduced a new score bug. I don't know if it's the same graphics, but it's a different score bug. They changed this score bug. That was unexpected. I bet you no one thought they would change that score bug because they hosted Super Bowl 58, okay, last year. And when they introduced that score bug, I was like, oh, that score bug's lame. It just looks so similar to the previous one. I was expecting a new look, like a totally different look. Kind of like their new one right now. And when I saw that new score bug, I'm like, oh, surprise. Yeah, definitely a surprise. Their new score bug is so much better. Not only it's much better than the one that they introduced at Super Bowl 58 last year, it's also much better than Fox's score bug. Yeah, for once, CBS's score bug is better than Fox's score bug. Because to me, before that, Fox's score bug was better. To me. This is to me. Okay? CBS's score bug. Oh my gosh. I know this is only week 1, but man, after looking at all the score bugs, CBS might be number 1. I really do like that score bug, even though it's only week 1, but I think I like that score bug the most. Isn't that weird? How they just change it? I guess they listen to their fans. They should have debuted that score bug for Super Bowl 58. Why didn't they thought of that? I don't know. So wait, what does this mean for college football on CBS? Did they have that same score bug too? Because I didn't watch any college games on CBS. I barely watch college football games or NFL games on CBS, mainly because of that score bug. I used to. When the score bug was on top of the screen, those were the good old days. Those were the good old days of CBS Sports when the score bug was on top of the screen. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the good old days. You have to be about my age to remember those years. And then I remember when they changed their score bug for Super Bowl 50, they moved it to the bottom of the screen. And when they did that, I was disappointed. That score bug was okay. I guess it was pretty good for its time, but the ones on top were so much better. But this new one that they introduced, I actually like it. I think it might be the best NFL score bug today. Okay, thank you, CBS. It looks great. So, yeah. And there's gonna be like fans saying, why do you care so much about a score bug? It shows the scores, the teams, the downs, the quarter, the clock. Why do you care what it looks like? Because I'm one of those fans that likes to look at them. You see, back in the old days, there wasn't a score bug. There wasn't a score bug, so if you're an old fan, you're not going to care much. However, when Fox introduced that new score bug for Super Bowl 59, people were criticizing it. They were saying it's a distraction. So it's probably not as much of a distraction, but it still looks weird. All right, we got to move on. This episode's already over an hour. That Sunday night game. Oh my gosh. Game of the year already. I watched this game. Although I kind of missed the first quarter. I was watching old wrestling, but I made sure to watch most of this game. And yeah, I'm glad I did on Peacock, because I have Peacock. I mainly got Peacock for the old wrestling, but since Sunday Night Football is on NBC, Peacock is part of NBC, okay? So, Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. A rematch from the playoff game last year. Did they met in the playoffs? No, I don't think they did. They didn't. They didn't meet because Kansas City, they beat Kansas City, they had to beat both teams to go to the Super Bowl. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Lamar Jackson against Josh Allen. People were saying Baltimore or Buffalo going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. What a game this was. Oh my gosh. This game was at Buffalo. This is Buffalo's final season at their stadium. Next season, they're moving to their new stadium. Okay. Yeah, I think their new stadium is next to their current stadium. It's kind of like when the old Yankee Stadium was next to the current Yankee Stadium. All right. I wasn't sure who was going to win. I didn't make any predictions in week 1, just like college football. I might make predictions pretty soon. I knew this would be a good game. Let me go to ESPN because a lot has happened in this game. It's crazy. A lot has happened in this game. I'm glad I watched this game. And I'm not a huge NFL fan, but I mainly watch the primetime games if they are intriguing. This game was intriguing. 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. 2 of the most entertaining quarterbacks going at it. Yeah. So, this game was wild, man. Oh my goodness. Buffalo, first quarter, they scored a touchdown first. Then Baltimore got a field goal. All right, so second quarter, Derrick Henry, 30-yard rush for a touchdown. Ravens up 10-7. They get another touchdown from Lamar Jackson to make it 17-7. Okay, the Bills got a field goal to make it 17-10. Ravens got another field goal, 20-10 with 31 seconds left, and somehow the Bills got another field goal to end the half, 20-13. The third quarter, Lamar Jackson, a pass to Zay Flowers for a Ravens touchdown, 27-13. Then the Bills got a touchdown, and they went for the 2-point conversion, but they failed to make it 27-19. And another great pass from Lamar Jackson to DeAndre Hopkins. Another touchdown. Ravens up 34-19. And after that, I wonder how many people turned off the game after that. Not me. I didn't turn it off. Because I could see Buffalo come back. And they were starting to come back in the fourth quarter. The Bills got another touchdown. but they failed the 2-point conversion. So Ravens up 34-25. Ravens got another touchdown. Derrick freaking Henry, former Tennessee Titan, played for Alabama. 46-yard rush. They get another touchdown. Ravens up 40-25. Bills have to get 2 more touchdowns. And they freaking did. 40-32. Then 40-38. They went for another 2-point conversion and they failed. So 0 for 3. And they got the ball back. And they were able to kick the game-winning field goal. And you know what was a little bit scary was they snapped. The clock was ticking before they snapped the ball, and they snapped the ball with like 2 seconds left. That was a little scary. It's not like the CFL where you can snap it after it hits 0 seconds. No, but they made it 41-40 final. My gosh. What a game. That's probably the best Sunday night game I've ever watched. Probably the best first Sunday night game of the season. These two teams, they may meet again in the playoffs. Playoffs? AFC Championship game? Playoffs? Yeah, I know. Unreal. Whew. And yes, you know, my favorite sports channel is TSN, right? And TSN, they have the rights to NFL games, especially the primetime games. So after the game ended, I listened to some of the post-game show on Peacock. Then I switched to TSN to hear what Jay Onrait and Luke Wilson had to say. By the way, Luke Wilson is another football junkie because he's an NFL guy. He used to play in the NFL, and he's at Friday night CFL games as a sideline reporter. It's awesome. I'm glad Buffalo won. I was actually cheering for them. I hope they win the Super Bowl. They need a Super Bowl win. Josh Allen needs a ring. Yes, Lamar Jackson needs a ring too. But Buffalo, they never won a Super Bowl. They never won a Super Bowl. My father is a Buffalo fan because he grew up there. So at least we have that team to cheer for instead of the trash Aints. The Aints. Alright, then Monday Night Football. Bum, 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 bum. Monday Okay. We get it. You know what? You know how it's funny. You know how sports networks, sport leagues on networks, they have their own theme music. Well, the NFL, they have their own theme music on their own networks. NFL on Fox, NFL on CBS, NFL on NBC, NFL on Amazon Prime, NFL on ESPN, Monday Night Football. To me, I like the ESPN Monday Night Football theme the most because it's the oldest. Yeah, I like that. I like the other ones, but Monday Night Football, that theme music, bum, 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 I like that. Yeah. And NFL Prime Time with Chris Berman and Booger McFarland. Booger McFarland is another football junkie. Covers both college football and the National Football League. Yeah, NFL Primetime has some fantastic soundtracks. So, Monday Night Football was the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. The Bears. How about the Bears? The Bears are who we thought they were. Yeah. So, this game, my favorite part about really today's NFL is the Monday Night Football Manningcast with Peyton and Eli Manning. Yeah, for the past couple of seasons, I would try to watch Monday Night Football with the Mannings because I like it. I find it entertaining. They don't do all the Monday night games, but I think they would do like 10 Monday night games. All right. So they were at the first one. They did the first one between the Vikings and the Bears. And when they're not on, I'll make a decision if I still want to watch the Monday Night Football game with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I still wish they were on Fox because they were on there for many years. Just like Joe Buck was the voice of the MLB on Fox, the World Series. I miss that. It's not the same without him anymore. Yeah, 4 years. Well, technically 3 years when he joined ESPN in 2022, but he left Fox after 2021. Was it the World Series? No, I think it was after the 2021 NFL season. Yeah. So yeah, first Monday Night Football game with Peyton and Eli of this season. I was watching that with them, and they would have special guests, okay, throughout their program. Last year they had Bill Belichick during the first half of the game, okay. Now he's no longer part of that because he's now the North Carolina football head coach. All right. So their guests were Bill Murray. Is that his name? The actor? Yeah, Bill Murray. Well-known actor. Then they had Saquon Barkley, which that was kind of surprising. Because, it's not like the New York Giants are playing, his former team. And then they had Randy Moss. You got mossed! Those were the guests. So yeah, well-known guys, okay? And I was entertained. They make it entertaining. They do. So I was listening and watching with them. I didn't really care who won this game. Although J.J. McCarthy finally made his starting quarterback debut for the Vikings. Last year he was supposed to play, but he couldn't. He was out for the season with whatever injury he had. The former Michigan quarterback. Yeah, I remember when he played at Michigan, he won the national championship game. So it was J.J. McCarthy against Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, he used to play for USC. So not much happened in the first half. The Bears scored a touchdown first to make it 7-0. The second quarter, the Vikings got a field goal, 7-3, and then with 24 seconds left, the Bears got another field goal. And then with 6 seconds left, somehow the Vikings were able to get a late field goal, 10-6. Third quarter, the Bears scored another touchdown. It was a interception return. Yeah, a 74-yard? I didn't thought it was that long. I thought it was about 50, but it was more than that. It was a pick six. What on earth? 17-6. The Bears. The fourth quarter, when they had on Randy Moss, the Vikings scored 3 touchdowns. Wow, Randy Moss. Yeah, because he used to play for the Vikings. It's like he brought them good luck. That was funny. Yeah, Vikings scored 3 touchdowns, 21 unanswered points. They took the lead 27-17, and the Bears scored a field goal right before the 2-minute warning to make it 27-24. And the big question after that was, were they going to kick were they going to do the kickoff or do the onside kick? That was a good question, but there was only 2 minutes left, so I would have kicked the onside kick. CFL, I would kick it off because there's only 3 downs, and they have the 3-minute warning. Under the 3-minute warning, the clock stops until the referee blows his whistle before the snap, before they snap the ball. It's not like that in the NFL. And the Bears only had 1 timeout, I think. So the Bears got the ball back with like 9 seconds left, and they weren't in field goal range. So the Vikings won 27-24. What a crazy week 1 this was. To me, the biggest surprise in week 1. I mean, let's name all the surprises to me. I thought the Eagles would win easily on Thursday night against the Cowboys. Okay. The Chiefs, they lost their first game. That's unusual. The Colts crushed the Dolphins 33-8. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers beat his former team by 2 points. Okay. Giants only scoring 6 points. Texans Rams was low scoring. Buffalo Bills came all the way back. Vikings scored 21 unanswered points. What was the most surprising? To me, that's a good question. What was the most surprising? I'm going to have to go with the Colts crushing the Dolphins 33-8. Because Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, they have made comebacks like this before. Okay. Even though Baltimore Ravens, you score 41 points and you were winning. They were winning most of the game. That's unusual in pro football. So, yeah. Thursday night game is the Washington Commanders against the Green Bay Packers. Will I watch that game? Maybe. I will. That game's on September the 11th. And you think they would have a New York team playing because, it's on that date. They did that on Monday Night Football in 2023. September the 11th, New York Jets were playing. I guess they didn't thought of that. I might watch it. Jaden Daniels against Jordan Love. Might be a pretty good game. Al Michaels. Yes, Al Michaels is 80 years old. He's still calling NFL games. Probably the greatest NFL announcer of all time. Teaming up with Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit is the MVP of football announcing because he travels a lot. He's on game day in the morning, and sometimes he would have to fly to the primetime game on ABC with Chris Fowler, and then NFL with Al Michaels. It's crazy. Kind of a weird commentating team, but I like it. So I might watch it if I remember. Well, I will remember, but it depends on if I want to do something else or watch something else. All right, I might not give you my predictions until week 3. All right, now let's talk about. Oh my gosh, this episode's almost an hour and a half. This episode's probably going to be 2 hours after all. College football week 2 recap. I know there's so much recapping in football. I guess this is how it's going to be until November after the CFL Grey Cup. So I didn't watch much college football week 2, not only because of the party that I had, but week 2 usually has a bunch of blowout games because a big program team would be playing against a little program team. And that's what happened during week 2. Not much happened in week 2. But I am going to go through the scores here. Here we go. So, the program team that I live close to is LSU, Louisiana State University. So I had that game on, all right, and they played against Louisiana Tech, and I actually went to some Louisiana Tech games in 2021. Totally different environment. I've never been to an LSU game in Tiger Stadium. Never. 100,000 people. Think about that. Yeah. Insane. So, they took on Louisiana Tech. And LSU, they won 23-7. They didn't score that many points. So that just tells me maybe their offense isn't that great, but their defense is pretty good. Or maybe they took them lightly because they have a big game coming up against Florida. That could be the reason. I don't know. A win is a win. A win is a win. The number 1 team, Ohio State. Let's pretend Texas was never the number 1 team. To me, Ohio State should have been number 1 during week 1. They shut out Grambling. They had to play against Grambling. Grambling is a little team in North Louisiana. They got shut out 70 to nothing. Yeah. Episode 70. KSN. But the bright side is Grambling, they get a big payday. Yeah, they get paid. They get a lot of money to get their football program. They get their asses kicked. That's basically what that is. Yeah. All right, they're playing Ohio State, the defending national champions. We're going to get our asses kicked, but we're going to get a lot of money from that ass-kicking match, so just don't get hurt. Number 2, Penn State shut out FIU. That stands for Florida International University, 34-0. Number 4, Georgia beat Austin Peay 28-6. Number 5, Miami beat Bethune. I think it's Bethune-Cookman, 45-3. You see? Big teams crushing these little teams. But here is what's the most surprising. Number 6, Oregon crushed Oklahoma State 69-3? What? How? Okay. Oklahoma State's not ranked, but that ain't a little program team. Oklahoma State, they had a lot of great years. Coach Mike Gundy, he's well known for his famous rant back in 2007. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Now he's 58, because that was 18 years ago. 69-3. Holy smokes. Jeez. Mike Gundy's worst loss. How? The game was in Oregon, but still 69-3? Let me look at the play-by-play here on ESPN. Oh my gosh. Oregon scored a touchdown real fast. Noah Winnington, 59-yard run with 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Wow, they scored another touchdown fast. Somehow they went for a 2-point conversion in their second touchdown and they failed. They scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, 20-0. And then Oklahoma State got their field goal. There were only points on the board. And then, oh my gosh, Oregon got 3 more touchdowns to make it 41-3. And they got 4 more touchdowns in the third quarter. Oh my gosh. They got 2 interception returns? What? What the heck? How do you recover from that, Oklahoma State? That's got to be the biggest surprise. Never. I don't remember seeing anything like that. I mean, that's normal when a big program team crushes a little program team like Ohio State did to Grambling, 70-0. But Oklahoma State is not a little program. Number 7 Texas, they beat San Jose State 38-7. Why was that game on ABC? San Jose State's never good. Instead, they should have had Arizona State at Mississippi State on ABC. That was a bigger game. Or that would have been a more interesting game, a closer game. That game was on ESPN2. I don't understand that. Number 6 Clemson beat Troy 27-16. Number 10 South Carolina, they beat South Carolina State 38-10. Number 11 Illinois crushed Duke on the road 45-19. Illinois, it used to be really bad. Now they're really good. Mississippi State, they beat number 12 Arizona State 24-20. That game should have been on ABC. What were they thinking? I heard about this one. South Florida upset number 13 Florida on the road 18-16. That was the only upset. Oh my gosh. Number 14 Florida State crushed Eastern Texas A&M. Never heard of that. 77-3. And this Florida State, they lost 2 games last year. Or they only won 2 games last year. That just shows you every season's different by a lot. The big game that evening, the one that Chris Fowler called, number 15 Michigan at number 18 Oklahoma. I didn't watch that game because of the party. Oklahoma won 24-13. I had a feeling Oklahoma would win, though. 5-Tayer. Rivalry for you. Iowa against Iowa State. And you know what? My father was actually watching that game. The big noon kickoff game on Fox with Gus Johnson. To me, Gus Johnson is the best non-ESPN football announcer. I'm just not really a fan of their score bug. That's my only problem with college football on Fox. Their score bug. Although I guess their score bug is better than the NFL on Fox score bug. Yeah. This game was low scoring. Number 16 Iowa State won 16-13. I think they always face each other during week 2. So that was a big game for the state of Iowa. Baylor beat number 17 SMU on the road, 48 to 45 in double overtime. Number 19 Texas A&M, they beat Utah State 44 to 24. This was a big game in the SEC. Number 20 Ole Miss, they beat Kentucky on the road 30 to 23. Number 21 Alabama shut out UL Monroe, which is in northeast Louisiana, 73 to nothing. Number 22 Tennessee beat ETSU. I think that stands for Eastern Tennessee, 72 to 17. Number 22 Indiana crushed Kennesaw State 56 to 9. Number 24 Texas Tech, they crushed Kent State 62 to 14. Number 25 Utah crushed Cal Poly, never heard of that, 63 to 9, and that's it. You see, all these games, blowout, almost all of them. A bunch of games were blowouts because of big program team against little program team. So I really didn't miss much in college football, which I guess it was a great weekend to have that party. All right, let's take a look at the rankings. Rankings here. This is my first time looking at the updated rankings. Let's go down to I'm going to do the opposite from tennis. I'm going to start from number 25 and make my way up to number 21, or number 1. Okay, drop from the rankings. Wow, Florida no longer ranked. I mean, I know they lost to South Florida, unranked South Florida at home by 2 points. I thought they would go down to like number 25 or something like that, but they're out of the rankings. SMU is also out of the rankings. Okay. Number 25 is BYU. 24 Arizona State, but they dropped down 14 spots after losing to Mississippi State. South Florida is now ranked number 23. Number 22 is Michigan. They went down 9 spots. Number 21 is Utah. First time they're in the rankings this season. Number 20 is Texas Tech. They went up 3 spots. Number 19 is Indiana. They went up 2 spots. Alabama also went up 2 spots. Number 18. Number 17 is Texas A&M. They went up 5 spots. Number 16 is Oklahoma. They went up 8 spots. 15 is Tennessee. They went up 2 spots. Iowa State is 14. They went up 4 spots. 13 is Ole Miss. They went up 1 spot. Florida State, already number 12. They went up 7 spots, even though they beat who? Which team did they beat again? Eastern Texas A&M, and they're already number 12. I get it. Their huge win against Alabama is something, but I don't know about number 12. 11 is Clemson, and somehow they went down 3 spots. That's kind of strange. 10 is South Carolina. They went up 1 spot. 9 is Illinois. They went up 3 spots. Notre Dame is 8. Went up 1 spot. Texas went down 1 spot to number 7. That's kind of weird. Number 6 is Miami. They went up 1 spot. 5 is Oregon. 4 is LSU. Oh, I guess they went down 1 spot, even though I thought they were number 3 last weekend. 3 is Georgia, 2 is Penn State, and Ohio State's number 1. Wait, I'm looking at the wrong rankings. My apologies. I'm looking at the coaches poll. I scrolled down too much. My apologies. Okay, this is the AP Top 25. Okay, so drop from the rankings. Arizona State, that's surprising to me. Florida, and SMU. Missouri is now ranked in the top 25. Auburn's number 24. Okay. Michigan, 23, down 8 spots. 22 is Indiana, up 1 spot. 21, Texas Tech, up 3 spots. 20, Utah, up 5 spots. 19, Alabama, up 2 spots. South Florida, ranked number 18. 17, Ole Miss, up 3 spots. 16, Texas A&M, up 3 spots. 15, Tennessee, up 7 spots. 14, Iowa State, up 2 spots. 13, Oklahoma, up 5 spots. Clemson, 12, down 4 spots. Wow. 11, South Carolina, down 1 spot. 10, Florida State, up 4 spots. 9, Illinois, up 2 spots. 8, Notre Dame, up 1 spot. 7, Texas. 6, Georgia, down 2 spots. Miami, 5. Oregon, 4, up 2 spots. LSU, 3. Penn State, 2. Ohio State, 1. Okay. Again, the rankings might not mean much. Okay. There's a few more things I want to talk about. The CFL. Oh my gosh. Now I got to talk about the CFL. So, excuse me. So the CFL, I actually didn't watch any games, believe it or not. In terms of watching the games live. I didn't watch any games live. I didn't watch any games on the late night replay. I watched all the games on YouTube, highlights, just like the US Open women's final. So, Friday night football was the BC Lions at the Ottawa Red Blacks. I did pick the Lions to win. Somehow the Red Blacks made a big comeback in the fourth quarter. The Red Blacks won 34-33. I didn't watch that game because it was during the Friday night game, Brazil game, and as well as the second men's semifinal at the US Open. Plus, these two teams are not going to make the playoffs, I don't think. But it turned out to be a great game. At halftime, BC was up 13-3. After 3 quarters, it was 27-16. Somehow BC, BC, they blew it. Ottawa came all the way back, and they won by 1 point, 34-33. So my plan was to watch my favorite team, the Montreal Alouettes, on Saturday at noon, but I couldn't. I had things to do before the party began, so I missed the game. So I watched that game on YouTube, the highlights, and it was raining. The game wasn't that great. And it really wasn't great at all for the Alouettes. They lost again. They lost another home game to Hamilton. Tiger Cats won 26-9. Yeah. Alouettes, they were off to a great start to the season. Now they're falling apart. All I can hope for is they can make the playoff and make a big run. Somehow that might happen. That kind of happened to the Toronto Argonauts last year. So that's all I can hope for, really, is this team getting hot. Somehow if the team gets hot towards the end of the regular season. And then it was the Banjo Bowl, a rematch between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and your favorite team, 5-Ter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This was a must-win for the Blue Bombers. I actually tuned into that game in the fourth quarter, but this was when the party started, okay? So, I had two TVs on playing sporting events. So I didn't see which team won. So I did the same thing. I watched the highlights on YouTube. And another thing is they didn't have any of the late night replays on, which was surprising. This game was low scoring. This time it was at Winnipeg. It was a pretty good game. Rod Smith and Paul LaPolice were on the call. The Banjo Bowl. I don't know why they call it the Banjo Bowl, but the Banjo Bowl. Ooh, excuse me. It's always between these two teams on the weekend after Labor Day. Okay. And the game was pretty close until the Roughriders took over basically in the second half. The Blue Bombers were winning 13-6, and the Blue Bombers didn't score any points in the second half. The Roughriders won 21-13, and I heard this was the first time the Roughriders won the Banjo Bowl since 2018? Wow. Crazy. And then in the last game for Week 14, the triple header Saturday. Yeah, I watched 3 highlights in one night. It was the Calgary Stampeders against the Edmonton Elks. Dustin Nielsen, what a great announcer he is. Edmonton, they got a touchdown, and the player, he ran all the way, and he was like, the Dustin Nielsen said, "See you later." That was so funny. You know what? You know who else says "see you later"? Is the Washington Nationals announcer, Bob Carpenter. I think that's his name. And I think he's still calling Nationals games. And whenever a National player hits a home run, he would say, "See you later." Yeah. Kind of reminded me of that. And what a big game. The Battle of Edmonton. Or not Edmonton, Alberta, excuse me. I can't really talk much about these games because I only watched the highlights. But I was able to watch the highlights. Better than nothing, right? Because otherwise, if I didn't watch the highlights, then I would be just looking up the scores on my own for the first time. Edmonton got a huge win, 31-19. And you know what? I think I picked all of these games incorrect. The BC Lions lost. I picked them to win. My favorite team lost. I picked them to win. Five Taylor, your favorite team. I picked them to win. They lost. Calgary Stampeders. I picked them to win. They lost. Wow, I'm 0 for 4. I think that was the first time that's happened this season. 0 for 4. Let's check the standings now. In the East Division, Tiger Cats 7-5, Alouettes 5-7, Argonauts 4-8, and the Red Blacks are also 4-8. West Division, Roughriders 10-2, the best team. Stampeders 8-4, Blue Bombers 6-6. Lions and Elks are both 5-7. And the Alouettes, unfortunately for my favorite team, they lost 5 in a row. They were 5-2. Now they're 5-7. They're in second place though, but now the Argonauts and the Red Blacks are right behind the Alouettes because they're one game behind. And it's funny, weird. The Roughriders' 2 losses were against the Stampeders. All right, well, that is the current standings here. So yeah, no more Thursday night football, no more Sunday night football for the CFL because of the NFL. But there was a Friday night CFL game during an NFL game because it's unusual for the NFL to have a Friday night game. So, we had one game Friday night, a triple header on Saturday. Week 15, we'll have a doubleheader on Friday night and Saturday. All right. I think I'll be able to watch those games here. So I'll make my predictions on the next episode of KSN. We're almost done here, guys. I usually what I like to talk last about, or one of the last things I like to talk about last, is to check the MLB standings. Oh yeah, during the party I had the Houston Astros game on because that's my closest team, and the game was on Fox against the Texas Rangers, their rival, the Lone Star Series. It was like 3-0 in the 8th inning and the Houston Astros were winning, and they won the game 11-0. They got a bunch of runs in the last 2 innings. You know what the weird thing is about the Houston Astros is whenever they score a lot of runs and they win, their next game they lose. And I checked to see if they lost on Sunday, and they did. 4-2. It's like they used all their gas. Standings. I guess I'll do this in every episode before the postseason begins, since we are in the month of September, the last couple of weeks of the regular season. In the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays are ahead, are still winning, leading 82 wins, 61 losses. The Yankees are 2 games behind. Okay, New York Yankees. And their rivals, Boston Red Sox, are right behind them, 3 games behind. The American League Central, the Detroit Tigers are still winning that division, 82 wins and 62 losses. The Cleveland Guardians are 8.5 games behind. They may not make the playoffs postseason. It's official. The Chicago White Sox have been eliminated because they have that little E next to the logo. If you're watching, see that little E? It's not focusing, but now it is. See, there we go. I have the ESPN app. It really helps. In the American League West, the Houston Astros are still leading that division, 78 wins and 66 losses. The Seattle Mariners are 2 games behind. Texas Rangers are 3.5 games behind. Oh, by the way, that same evening where the Houston Astros shut out the Rangers 11-0, somehow the Oakland... Oh, nope, I can't say Oakland. I got to say the Athletics. You can't even call them Sacramento Athletics, even though they play their games in Sacramento. They got 17 runs against the Angels in Anaheim. That was surprising. To the National League East, the Philadelphia Phillies are still in first place, 84 wins, 60 losses. The New York Mets are 8 games behind. American National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are still in first place with 89 wins and 56 losses. Your favorite team, 5-tear, the Chicago Cubs, 7.5 games behind. And the National League West, the LA Dodgers, 80 wins, 64 losses, but the San Diego Padres are right behind them. 79 wins and 65 losses, 1 game behind. Colorado Rockies, 40 wins and 104 losses. They're 15 games behind the Chicago White Sox. Let's see here. Any streaks here? Yankees, they won 7 out of their last 10 games. Okay. Same with the Phillies. The Dodgers, they lost 7 out of the last 10 games. Okay. All right, that's about it. The last thing I want to say is some sad news. for the MLB. I was on MLB Network, and you know how they have their ticker at the bottom? It said R.I.P. to Davey Johnson. Davey Johnson was a former baseball manager. You know what's crazy? I remember my first year really getting into the MLB, 2013. That was his last year with the Washington Nationals. And yes, the Washington Nationals used to be my favorite team. You know, I picked that team to root for. And I remember his last season with the Nationals. So, rest in peace to Davey Johnson. And that's all I got to say. Turns out this episode is not quite 2 hours. A couple of minutes short. Still another long episode. So, there was so much football talk. And there's going to be more football talk. It's going to be football talk up the ass, basically. And wait until we get to October for the MLB postseason. So, if you listen to this whole episode again, thank you so much. I should be back on Friday. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.